Now, the interview that we've been waiting all morning for. If you have a question about space or our place in the universe, Neil deGrasse Tyson is shedding light on, shedding a new light, I should say, in his new book, Starry Messenger, Cosmic Perspectives on Civilization. You can hear more from the acclaimed astrophysicist tonight at Proctor's Theater, and I had a chance to sit down with Dr. Tyson yesterday to get a cosmic perspective of my own. What are you hoping with this new book for people to think about?
Well, I've been pregnant with this book for decades, and then it all just birthed in the last year. I think I hit my gestation period, where observations that I've made ever since childhood, really, when I was first scientifically literate. Let's count it basically from middle school. And I'd look around and I see adults, full-grown adults, saying things, believing things, doing things. And I say, what? Why you, what? And I realized there's a lot of irrational thinking and conduct in the world. And then you add a cosmic perspective to that. Often, whatever you were thinking, whatever you were believing, will either evaporate, because there might be a whole other outlook on what it is you cared about. And it has a power to reset your lives and your priorities. And it may be our only path for peace and freedom going forward.
And in your book, you talk a lot about some social struggles that we're dealing with a lot. Maybe it's coming out of the pandemic that a lot of these things are coming to light. But what do you think the universe and some of our struggles here on Earth, maybe how can they be reconciled?
Thanks for that question. And that's a big part of how I get into each topic, because the chapters of the book, you wouldn't think, why would an astrophysicist even go there? All right. One of them is meat eaters and vegetarians. Yeah, I went there. Okay. And gender and identity. And I just make some simple points that in the universe, there's such a diversity of what's out there: stars, planets, moons, gas clouds, galaxies, that we needed ways to classify them, to talk about them, to arrange them, to think about them. But it's not natural, apparently not natural, for the human mind to think on a spectrum. We say, are you with us or are you against us? Well, maybe there's somewhere in the middle. And by the way, before Thanksgiving, if you're going to get the book at all, get it before Thanksgiving, before your crazy relatives come over. And you'll be really good with your arguments.
Yeah, and maybe some people can come away with some more arguments after your event this evening. You're going to be at Proctor's Theater. What can fans expect with their evening with you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't take it for granted that people give up an evening to listen to an astrophysicist talk for 2 hours. All right. This is, I don't take that lightly. So no, it's slides and videos, and it's me just sharing my enthusiasm with the universe.
That's amazing. With our last couple of minutes with you, do you mind if we do a little fact or science fiction speed round?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, great. So I saw on Twitter the other week or so that you were debunking Tom Cruise's ejection from the fighter plane in Top Gun. We are big fans of Top Gun Maverick on our morning show. Fact or science fiction that he would survive that in real life?
Oh, he would be very dead at Mach 10.5, and he was going 7,000 miles an hour. If you eject at that speed, he is squashed like a worm splattered by a chainmail glove.
I know you like to talk about aliens. Are they real or not real?
So we can think of alien life, which could be microbial. That would be cool. Most of life on Earth's history was microbial, a single cell. So we use that as a measure of what we might find. That would transform biology overnight if we came upon one of those. What we might call intelligent aliens, we don't have evidence for that. And by the way, if we were being visited by intelligent aliens from another planet, if Earth were being visited, I don't think we need congressional hearings.
Excellent. Final question for you. So we have driverless cars, we have cars that may fly. Do you think we'll see teleportation in any of our lifetimes?
You know, the day we have teleportation, you don't need cars. You don't need roads. And by the way, teleportation, a variant of that is just wormholes. You step through the wormhole and you are in another place. And if you work out the timeline on that too, you might even be in another time. So I don't think teleportation, I think we might figure out wormholes before we figure out how to dematerialize your body and reassemble it somewhere else. And just a quick thing, I was at a Charlotte airport one time. I had to go from a big plane to a little plane, and
Yep.
it was like, I swear I walked 2 miles in the terminal. I got to I got to my gate, and I thought I'd be clever, and I tweeted, "Can't wait until we have wormholes. Then all airport gates would be adjacent to one another." And then, you know, in the geek world, there's always someone geekier than you. And so someone, a geekier than me person, came in on the thread and said, "Dr. Tyson, the day we have wormholes, you won't need airports." I was like, oh, oh, busted.
Oh.
But I got out geeked on that one. That was a good one. That was good.
Well, Dr. Tyson, thank you so much.
I think too, listening to this as someone who is not as science savvy as maybe you are, Jill, it can definitely expand your mind and just remind you there is so much out there. And sometimes we get very small thinking in our lives and we aren't concentrating on the right things.
Well, and that's what Dr. Tyson's new book is all about too, is we kind of all find our little avenue and we stick to it. But there's so much more out there that we can explore. And I think maybe if we just could all teleport ourselves up to outer space, we would be able to see just how vast the globe that we live on is. And then if we want to take it even bigger, how big our universe and galaxy is. And so there's so much more out there, so much more that makes us common that maybe divides us as well. So that's really what he's talking about in his new book.
And it was interesting how he said this is a strange book coming from an astrophysicist instead of something like a philosopher or something like that. But I think science can do that as well.
I think you can kind of blur those lines, and certainly Dr. Tyson is doing that with his new book. I didn't expect to have a deep philosophical afternoon with Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson yesterday, but that's certainly where our conversation led, and I could have talked to him for an entire afternoon. So those that are heading to Proctor's Theater tonight, the lucky ones that will be in the seats, it's going to be a great show. There are still tickets available, including some VIP tickets that will get you into an exclusive Q&A after the event this evening at Proctor's Theater.
Hey, maybe you'll get inspired by Neil himself as well.